which based on ignorance, such as strong anger, hatred, and also attachment. One of my American friend, one scientist, Aaron Beck, he mentioned when we develop anger, the object which we feel angry appears very negative, but actually 90% of that negativeness is mental projection.
Find is that when we get a negative image of somebody else and it stays on and on, we start to attack the other person, but actually we're attacking the image. By attacking this image of the person, we're actually injuring the person who may be nothing like the image. So the more we have the negative image of the person, the more we're going to attack him, but it's always the image that we're having that is bothering us, not the real person. So we talked about delusion before, in a way.
Yes.
A lot of hatred is based on a delusion, but it's also between countries, nations, ethnic groups. They tend to have kind of an image, a mental image of the other people as some way subhuman. Let's say when the Germans would have pictures of the Russians during World War II, they showed the Russians as looking like beasts, wild beasts. Then, of course, the people felt it's okay to shoot wild beasts because they're not human beings anymore.
So I think the Buddhist concept, all these negative emotions based on ignorance, on misconception.
Holiness, just apart for one moment, you mentioned about the broad perspective before, and I think much of the unhappiness that individuals have is because they lose perspective. And I thought I'd give you an example. There was some time ago, I was asked to consult about a professor of physics, and he thought that he had made a very great discovery which might give him the Nobel Prize. And he got passed over. He did not get the Nobel Prize, and so he was depressed. And so I said, well, how important part of your life was this prize? And he said, 100%. So I asked him, I said, do you have a family? And he said, oh, yes. And I said, well, how important is your family to you? So he said, my wife, 20%. And I said, do you have children? And he said, yes, I have 3 children. And I said, how important are they to you? And he said, oh, I guess they're about 40%. And I said, do you get to see your children very much? He said, well, no, I've had so much time working on my physics project that I really haven't spent much time with them. And I said, how do you feel about that? And then he started to weep. And I said, why are you weeping? He said, it reminded me when I was growing up, that's just the way my father was to me. And he said, now I suddenly realize what I am missing out on. My father missed out on it, I'm missing out, and of course my children are missing out. So I said, now how important are your children to you now? And he said, 80%. Anyhow, he left the office and he wasn't depressed anymore.